Today's video is brought to you by Bones Coffee Company. Make sure you check out my affiliate link in the video description down below to get 10% upon checkout. Alright my fellow agents, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and today my friends I'm going to continue the series at the channel where I revisit a handful of builds I'm currently using in the game. And today I'm going to be highlighting two LMG builds, one based around the gear shift, one based around the big Alejandro, and I'll also be showing you a skill build with the new body armor, the Impetus. Now with that being said, as most of you know, I never want to waste your time here at the channel, so in full transparency, chances are if you happen to have seen some of my videos over the last few weeks, you may have already seen these builds. But having said that, a lot of you reach out to the channel saying you love when I put these types of videos together, so I will always continue to do that. Now I had actually planned to put together a skill build today, but as most of you know, we're in the middle of the Tech Overdrive event, which means automatically you're going to get a bunch of buffs to skill build, so if I posted that video, the numbers would have been off, and then you would have put the build together and wondered how I did it. So again, just going to do that tomorrow, my friends. That's all I got for the introduction. Thank you once again for everything, and with that being said, let's cut right to the footage. Now in addition to the big Alejandro, there is also a brand new named LMG in the game called the Gear Shift. It is a guaranteed reward when you get to level 5 in your event pass, so it's much faster to pick up. You can also get it from the anniversary caches as well, so today we're going to take a few moments and highlight one of the many different builds you can put together around this thing, and I recommend giving it a shot. So starting with the specialization, we're using Gunner, and we're doing that to get that extra reload speed bonus. We have access to the Banshee Pulse with this specialization as well, some extra rate of fire, and always remember to make sure you have the LMG activated in your weapon skill tree, and you're doing that for two reasons. First of all, it's going to give you an extra 15% weapon damage bonus when you're using your LMG, and secondly, it gives you access to the large pouch, which is going to give you an extra 50 rounds in the magazine. Now when it comes to this weapon, the first two attributes will always be the same. It will be LMG damage, then it will be damage to targets out of cover, and ideally the third one is damage to armor. Now the reason this weapon is so effective is because it has the talent perfectly measured. The top half of the magazine is a 25% rate of fire increase and a negative 30% weapon damage decrease. The bottom half of the magazine is a negative 18% rate of fire decrease and a 38% total weapon damage bonus. Now as far as the secondary and sidearm is concerned, it's totally up to you. However, if you do have the quick step, I recommend using that handgun because when you have that in your hand, you're going to get an extra 20% movement speed bonus. Now moving on to the gear itself, you can see we're running 4 of the Tipping Scales gear set, 1 piece of Petrov and the Catharsis mask, which is what we're starting with. Now as you've heard me mention in previous videos, this is one of those must-have exotics. It has the Talent Vicious cycle. Taking damage builds stacks to a cap of 30. Each stack is going to grant 1.5% weapon damage. Taking damage at max stacks triggers a purge, removing all stacks and status effects, and then dropping a healing cloud which restores 5% of max armor for 10 seconds to all allies in the cloud. Next we have the body armor, and as you can see it's the first of 4 pieces of the Tipping Scales gear set. We're running 4 so we get all of the gear set bonuses. 2 pieces 30% magazine size, 3 pieces 30% LMG damage, 4 pieces throttle control. Shooting build stacks to a max of 50. Each stack is going to provide 0.5% weapon handling and 4% crit hit damage. Lose 6 stacks per second while not shooting. No stacks are lost if an enemy is suppressed. And because we're wearing the Tipping Scales body armor, we have access to the talent sustainability. That is going to increase the maximum number of stacks from 50 to 75. Continuing on to the holster and the knee pads, they are 2 more pieces of the Tipping Scales gear set. And one thing I'm trying to do is stack crit hit chance and crit hit damage everywhere I can. Next we have the gloves. They are the Contractor's gloves, 1 piece of Petrov. That's going to give us an extra 10% LMG damage bonus, and that middle attribute, 8% damage to armor. And last but not least, my friends, we have the backpack, which is the 4th and final piece of Tipping Scales. Now because we're wearing the Tipping Scales bag, we have access to the talent Snowball, and that is going to increase the crit hit damage received per stack from 4 to 7, so that's a good jump right there. As far as the skills are concerned, I'm using the combination of the Healer Drone and the Banshee Pulse. However, to be clear, you can use any combination you want. Now having said that, one thing I mention in every build video I post is the fact that this is just a template. You want to take your time, make a build your own, as there are so many different ways to roll with a build like this. So at this point, I'd like to show you another variation I recommend trying. Now to do that, we need to go back to the Gunner specialization, and I need to highlight the second field research for this specialization. And the reason for that is because the reward for completing stage 2 of this field research is going to be the VedMed Best blueprint, and that is going to be one of the center points of the next build you're about to see. Not center points, focal points, but you know what I mean. You can't have 2 center points. Anyway, moving on, getting to the build itself. As you can see, we are once again using 4 pieces of the Tipping Scales gear set, and needless to say, the body armor is that VedMed vest. Now this is a piece of Petrov, which means we're going to get that 10% LMG damage bonus, and this has the Talent Perfect Braced. While in cover, weapon handling is increased by 50%. Now, the main reason I recommend this talent is because I happen to hear from a lot of players out there, and you say that you really struggle with using LMGs because some of those weapons can kick like a mule. This will definitely help you out. Last but not least, you can see I changed the gloves to Overdogs. These have the talent Weakest Link. That is going to amplify weapon damage by 30% to the lowest ranking enemy currently in combat as per the tier hierarchy. Finally, when we take a look at the numbers, you can see I'm sitting at 55% crit hit chance. Remember, the max is 60 and 111.1 crit hit damage. And always remember, those numbers are going to be dependent on the gear you have equipped, as well as having a Shade Watch of level 1000. I'd also like to mention I do not have any modifiers running in the gameplay footage you're about to see, and the reason for that is I want to ensure that whenever you see this thing, you know exactly what the build can do without any special events going on. Hope this helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Now, as always, we're going to jump right into the details, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out. And if you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now, starting with the specialization, we are using Technician. Doing that for the following reasons. First of all, you get that extra skill tier, which means you can spec into armor or weapon damage as your core attribute on a different piece of gear. You also have access to the Talent Overclock CPU that's going to give you an extra 10% skill damage bonus. And always remember, please make sure to have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. Now, as far as the primary and secondary weapons are concerned, they are totally interchangeable. It's up to you. But as you can see on screen, my primary weapon is the Harmony Rifle. I'm using this because it has the talent Perfectly in Sync. Hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with a skill grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds as well. And not only that, but damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. Making our way to the secondary weapon, it's the Capacitor. As you've heard me mention in previous videos, this is another one of those must-have exotics. It has the talent Capacitance. Shooting enemies builds stacks to a cap of 40. Each stack is going to grant 1.5% skill damage, and you can also see for every skill tier you have, you're also going to gain an extra 7.5% weapon damage. So because we're sitting at skill tier 6, it means we're going to get an extra 45% weapon damage bonus when we're using this weapon. And in the meantime, if you do not have either of the weapons I just mentioned, you can use the test subject. It also has the talent Perfectly in Sync. You can also feel free to use your favorite assault rifle or rifle combination, whatever you want, with the regular talent in sync. I can promise you that will still get the job done. Now making our way to the gear itself, you can see we're running 3 Empress International, 1 Wyvern, 1 Hannah U, and the Waveform holster. Now starting with the mask, it's the first of 3 pieces of the Empress International. We're running 3 so we get all of the brand set bonuses. 10% skill health, 10% skill damage, and 8% skill efficiency. Next we have the body armor. It is the new named body armor, the Impetus. This is going to be a guaranteed reward when you get to level 25 in the anniversary season. It's in the free track, but for the record, it also happens to be in the general loot pool, so if you want to farm for it, you do have that option as well. Now you can see it has the talent Perfect Kinetic Momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. Stacks increase your total skill damage by 1.5% and total skill repair by 2%, up to 18 stacks per skill. Moving on to the holster, we're using the Waveform with its talent Alternating Current. Generate a stack of 3% skill damage on one of your skills every second, capping at 10 stacks. After 10 seconds at the cap, the stacks transfer to your other skill. The process then repeats nonstop. Next, we have the knee pads. They are the second piece of Empress International. After that, we have the gloves. It's the one piece of Hannah Yu, and you'll notice that second attribute is Armor Regen. I'd much rather it be Skill Haste, Skill Duration, but again, this is just what I have to put this build together. Finally, my friends, we have the backpack, third and final piece of Empress, and as you can see, I'm using that Talent Tech Support. Skill kills are going to increase skill damage by 25% for 25 seconds. That is an absolute lifetime in this game, so remember, let the skills do the killing for you. As far as my skills are concerned, I'm using the combination of the Assault Drone and the Assault Turret. However, to be very clear, you can use any skill combination you want, my friends. This just happens to be my favorite. Let me know what yours are in the comment section down below, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can.
Reinforcements incoming. Detecting additional hostile contacts.
Starting with the specialization, we're using Gunner. Doing that for that extra armor on kill, you get a reload speed increase, you have access to the Banshee Pulse, you get some extra rate of fire, extra weapon handling when you're in cover, which you will be when you're using this build. And always remember to make sure you have the LMG activated in your weapon skill tree. And the reason I mention that in every single build video I post is because a lot of players out there, including myself, we use the same template for different builds. You forget to switch the weapons, then you're leaving 15% weapon damage on the table, and you do not want to make that mistake. Now obviously my primary weapon for this build is the big Alejandro LMG. I'm telling you right now, fellow agents, this is going to be one of those must-have exotics in the game, and I know it's going to be a bit of a grind to get the thing, but it will definitely be worth it. And as you can see, it has the talent Cover Shooter. Every bullet fired while in cover increases weapon damage by 1% up to 100%. The bonus is going to last for 15 seconds, however, getting a kill with this weapon while in cover will reset the duration. But the last part's very important. They say the bonus damage is canceled by reloading, swapping weapons, or exiting combat. Now, the reason that's such an important detail is because I know a lot of players out there, including myself, anytime there's a break in the action, we have that muscle memory, we reload our weapon. So there does happen to be a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to this weapon, but to put it bluntly, keep your foot to the floor when you're using this thing and you will be absolutely shredding enemies left and right. Now making our way to the gear itself, you can see we're running 4 tipping scales, 1 unit alloys, and the Overdog's gloves. Starting with the mask, it's the first of 4 pieces of tipping scales. We're doing that so we get all of the gear set bonuses. 2 pieces 30% magazine size, 3 pieces 30% LMG damage. 4 pieces throttle control. Shooting build stacks to a max of 50. Each stack is going to provide 0.5% weapon handling and 4% critted damage. You lose 6 stacks per second while not shooting, and no stacks are lost if the enemy is suppressed. Next we have the body armor, and for the record, you can use so many different brand sets if you want. For me, for this build, I'm using the 1 piece of unit alloys. That's going to give me an extra 5% rate of fire increase, and I'm using the named body armor, the equalizer, because that has the talent perfect obliterate. Critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 24 times. Another great option is a piece of Petrov that's going to give you some extra LMG damage bonus. You could also use a piece of Grupo if you want, totally up to you. I prefer running with the talent obliterate. However, I know a lot of players out there use the talent glass cannon. So again, my friends, remember this is just a template. Take your time, make it build your own, kick the tires, and see which one you prefer using. Continuing on to the holster and the knee pads, they are 2 more pieces of the tipping scales gear set, and you will notice I am doing my best to stack crit hit chance and crit hit damage everywhere I can. Next we have the gloves, and as you can see they are the Overdogs. They have the talent weakest link. That is going to amplify weapon damage by 30% to the lowest ranking enemy currently in combat. If you don't have these as yet, I recommend using Contractor's gloves, and I will leave a link to a farming video showing you how to get the Overdogs if you don't have them at the moment. Last but not least, my friends, we have the backpack. It is the 4th and final piece of the tipping scales gear set, and because we're wearing that bag, we have access to the talent snowball, and that is going to increase the crit hit damage received per stack from 4 to 7, so that is a nice little jump right there. As far as the skills are concerned, for this version of the build, I'm using a combination of the Banshee Pulse and the Fixer Drone, but you can use whatever you want. And finally, as you can see on screen, another great option is to just run Striker. This is one of the best gear sets in the game, and most of you know that. And all I've done is the following. I've switched the 4 pieces to Striker instead of tipping scales. And once again, this is where trying out different builds is incredibly important. With Striker, you're going to get a much higher RPM. However, your magazine size is going to be 60 rounds less. So a lot of players out there, because of the talent, may want that extra magazine size. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and as always, any other questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know as well, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope everyone is doing well on this fine day. So remember that one time long ago when I told you not to reload when you're using this weapon? Guess what I did non-stop in the gameplay footage you're looking at? I was reloading this thing every single moment there was a break in the action, so just keep your foot to the floor, because the last thing you want to do is constantly cancel that damage bonus. Now, the last thing I want to mention really quick is that in the gameplay footage you are looking at, I do not have any global modifiers running whatsoever. I know that's something I referenced at the beginning of the video. And the reason they're turned off is I want to ensure that whenever you see this thing, you know exactly what it can do without any special events going on. That's going to do it for my part, my friends. Thank you once again for everything, and I will see you in the next one.
Agent, do what you have to do to secure the clinic. We can't give up. There could still be survivors inside.
I got this!
Assistance needed.
I thought you were supposed to be dead! Resupply on the ground! Ready to go!
We'll bury our dead and move the supplies you recovered back to the bridge. We'll find Danvers and make him...